Right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So now we're going to look into our first topic, which is introduction to business analytics. Right. So what we need to understand. This is our introduction topics. So now let's look at what is business analytics. So business analytics is actually an action of transforming data into effective business decision. Means that we're going is a just business analytics is just a tool, right, to process the data that we have, so the data can become can we can get a effective a good result for a business decision lah, whether we want to what we want to do, want to increase the sales or advertisement expenditure ke. So it based on the past data, so it's just a tool for us to make an manipulative and of the data to get the effective result for business and decision lah. And it's actually a schematic method of processing data lah. So how to process the data and the step, whether we want to data imputation ke, we want to transform the data, categorize the numerical data, right? So it's a method of processing the data to make a good business decision, right? So this process involve understanding of nature of the data lah. So this is a very important step in every data analysis, right? When we want to start with the data analysis, we will start understanding the data. So we need to understand the data. What is the first we need to understand from data is what is the population of the data. Where is the data is gathered? Dia ambil daripada mana? What is the sampling techniques yang dia guna? Is it they're using a probabilistic sampling techniques or non-probabilistic sampling techniques? So if they are using a non-probabilistic sampling techniques, then we know that this data is not a representative data. It's contain a highly biased data, right? It's not a reliable data lah. You cannot trust the data. Uh, but sometimes they have people have no choice, right? They're going to use non-probabilistic data, and then we need to be careful on understanding the data lah. And kalau dia guna probabilistic sampling techniques, right, we know that the data is randomly taken from the population. It is less biased compared to non-probabilistic sampling techniques. Still, there is a bias, but less bias compared to non-probabilistic sampling techniques. And we can expect the precision of the data and so on. So now, next step is by using qualitative and quantitative method. Right, qualitative and quantitative method of inquiry to analyze the data. So basically, qualitative method maybe they involve sentiment analysis and so on lah, right? Maybe they involve analysis of yang qualitative selalu buat macam menggunakan en vivo tu, nak tengok dia punya berapa banyak frequent of word ke. Still dia akan convert ke sikit-sikit kepada quantitative. But in business analytics, right, we going to use a lot of quantitative methods lah. A lot of quantitative method, because we believe the data are can be quantified lah. Can be quantified. Sometimes data cannot be quantified. Contoh data macam music data, data-data music. Macam mana Spotify, kita selalu dengar lagu this type of song kan. Itu bila kita buka Spotify next time, dia akan dia akan ada recommended song kan. Atau contoh lagi satu YouTube, right? Kalau kita tengok video pasal makan atau pasal masak kan, so the next time dia akan recommend kat kita video-video pasal makan dan masak lagi, right? So how they do that? So how they process the information and kita tengok, and then they do a recommendation. So it based on qualitative lah. Contoh dalam music ke, file, text, right? So dia akan compile semua tu, dia akan generate an algorithm and make a recommendation. Quantitative methods such as linear regression, logistic regression, support vector machine, random forest, and so on lah. So we have plenty of quantitative method available to analyze the data. And the next process is when we know that we already identify the the method to be employed to the data, right? We need to have a suitability technology lah to produce a reliable and meaningful output. Means that you need to have a stable machine to process the output, the data, such as komputer yang okay lah. Let's say you have is in a company. Contoh, they have a very large data. So nowadays we are talking about big data era. So everyday data is keep coming in, right? Even dalam kedai runcit pun data is keep coming in every day, right? Customer ni beli apa, beli apa, beli apa. Right? Contoh macam simple macam tu pun is part of data business analytics. Contoh kalau you tahu uh, people selalu beli, let's say dia beli kacang air soya dengan cincau contoh kan. So selalu bila ramai orang beli macam tu, so in a model dia akan capture. So for business decision later on, so we can arrange cincau and soya together. Kalau kita tengok dalam Tesco, Lotus kan, every once a while dia akan ubah layout. Why they change the layout? Bukan suka-suka hati ubah untuk kemaskan dia punya uh, rack ataupun floor, but it based on the data. Based on the data, selalu orang kalau beli Pampers, dia selalu akan beli sekali dengan susu. So dia akan letak dekat-dekat. Contoh. So dia akan ubah benda tu. So the preference of a customer tu itself, dia tak akan stick macam tu forever. So the trend will change periodly. So dia step by time, over time dia akan change lah. So that's why many business yang retail especially, dia akan ubah-ubah mengikut dia punya model. Same goes to others business as well lah. So to cope with the data, with such of large data, they need to have a very good technology such as Hadoop, such as server and so on lah. So komputer tu mesti kena ada yang bagus lah untuk process the data every day. So nowadays people are using cloud kan. Cloud banyak menolong lah. Dia tolong dari segi apa? If we in the site kan, we don't have electricity ke ataupun we have some kecemasan kan, kilang tutup ke, so the data still on the cloud, right? So nowadays banyak companies moving to the cloud lah. So dia less cost of maintenance untuk maintain the server and so on lah. And the last process is presenting the data in simplest form that assists business to make sound decision. So we know that when we learn data analytics, right? When we learn data analytics, the result might be very complicated, and we have a many information to present, right? We cannot just present whatever a result from Excel ke, daripada statistical analysis punya software ke. We just present everything. We don't need to do that. We need to make it simple form in bar chart ke, pie chart ke. So then people on a manager position can look at the data and understand to make a meaningful business decision lah. So that is process involved in business analytics. So now let's look at the example of application. Right? For example, kita tengok pricing. Kejap Okay, kita tengok pricing kan. Setting price for consumer and industrial goods, for government contract and maintenance of contract. So another example yang itu tak boleh, yang you selain yang you boleh baca di zone dalam buku kan. Selain example yang I nak bawa adalah maybe you try to apply loan from bank for the first time, right? But you are the first time to apply the loan, but people have tried applied the loan many times, right? So banyak people yang sukses untuk bayar dapatkan loan, and banyak people yang sukses untuk bayar the loan, right, until the end. Atau ada ramai juga people yang gagal bayar loan. So bank akan collect the data, the information, right? So orang yang berjaya bayar loan and tak berjaya bayar loan. So apa karakteristik dia? Right, so dia akan base pada karakteristik ni. So dia akan buat classification model. Right, so from the classification model, when you are the first time to apply the loan, dia akan tengok balik important characteristic to identify whether you can pay the loan in future or cannot pay or going to be default. Right? So from there baru bank akan make a prediction. So make a prediction whether you can success in apply the loan or bank akan reject the application. So that is one of the example. Another example is customer segmentation, identifying and targeting key customer group in retail, insurance, credit card industry lah. So this is based banyak dalam classification model. Right, classification model. Ni macam tadi contoh saya cakap berkenaan dengan bank application kan. Benda yang sama. So dia akan classify. Yang kebanyakannya dalam business, we are doing classification model. Right, we're going to classify whether you want to proceed or you don't want to proceed. Right. So kalau kita nak buka satu area, for example, we want to bid a contract from a government. Right? So let's say parking. Right, kita nak dapatkan contract parking contract. Right, kalau macam dululah example ni example lama lah. So they want to have a parking contract for the government. So dia akan buat a feasible study dulu. Whether that area is banyak kereta ke duduk kat situ, berapa banyak kita nak kena commute daripada sini, daripada let's say dia punya base Shah Alam ke Puncak Alam. So berapa banyak jalan, berapa banyak dia punya apa tu orang kata jauh tu kan, kilometer nak pergi travel ke sana, and then is it worthwhile to invest some money to get the project, right? So semua tu akan kaji lah, right, di dalam feasible study, and then make a decision lah. So merchandising, determine brand to buy, quantities and allocation. So dalam business analytics juga kita kena tahu berapa banyak bila kita nak beli, when to restock our stock dalam warehouse, bila kita nak buat sales, berapa banyak kita nak buat sales. Kita kena tahu benda tu based on past data. And another example of application, finding the best location. Tadi macam tadi saya cakap tadi lah, berkenaan dengan feasible study and so on. And social media, nowadays people are like to use social media even dalam masa terdekat nanti kita akan ada pilihan raya. Contoh mungkin ada pilihan raya yang besar. So banyak company akan make an action to sell the data. Right, to sell the data to the politician, right, to the politician. So how to they get the data? They get the data from, dia tak akan turun one by one tanya soalan. Dia akan get the data from the social media, right, from the social media. So they understand the trend of customer, and macam contoh dia akan tengok the sentiment analysis, whether people are like this party, this goods or dislike. So dia akan based on sentiment analysis and make a predictive model and make us prescriptive analysis. Prescriptive analysis nanti kita akan tengok lah apa maksud prescriptive analysis. Right. So this is the evolution of business analytics. There are pre-industrial era, industrial era, and digital era lah. So let's look at a pre-industrial era. This is historical punya uh, part. So pre-industrial era, the data still record in manual basis lah. Kalau kita pergi dekat kebanyakan klinik sekarang pun still dia masih ditakut yang lama lah, pre-industrial era. So kita pergi dekat isi kita punya maklumat semua dalam buku besar. Right? So semua dia akan simpan dalam maklumat kita dalam buku kan. So the data was not thoroughly engaged in making business decision lah. Right? So in pre-industrial era, but they still have this element of business analytics kat situ, but it based on the informal data, means based on the experience, based on people says, and they make a decision, right? So however, kat sini, however, the element of business analytics exists way back then. Business engaged with data, informal in decision making, right? So industrial era, the usage of data was limited, right? No technology available to share the data. So there are no cloud computing, right? Belum ada lagi. Right, so data was collected manually, right? But sometimes dia akan letak dalam komputer, sometimes dia akan letak dalam buku, right? So record manually lah, on paper, right? So analytics were made to advise business on how secure competitive advantage, right? So still they are using analytics lah based on the data. So on digital era, in starting from 1970s, computer were widely used, right, worldwide. So the process of data collection process was known as business intelligence. So business intelligence is part of business analytics. Right. Macam tadi saya cakap, business analytics is beyond than business intelligence. Right. It use a prediction and prescription analytics on beside the descriptive data lah. So business intelligence, we just want to describe the data. We want to know the condition, the actual data, or the nature of the data. Right? We want to understand the data as well, and we want to get the insight or brief or surface information, right? So we do a business intelligence. And there is also information system available nowadays. The information system is quite powerful. Business analytics coming on to accommodate this information system, and to make a very to make a business decision grateful lah. Now, as I said tadi, kita ada descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, and predictive analytics. So the scope of business analytics. So we have a descriptive analytics. So the descriptive analytics use the data to understand the past, and current business performance, and make informed decision, right? Make informed decision. So means that they use a descriptive analytics to make informed decision. Contoh, right, say tengok sales bulan ni kurang, right? So what the action they want to do? Let's say kita tengok correlation, right? Itu correlation dalam predictive analysis. This one more on charting lah, bar chart, pie chart, and so on lah, right? This is a pie chart, for example, and so on. So kita akan tengok nanti how to do a descriptive analysis. And descriptive analysis, we want to know what is the mean of the data, what is the standard deviation of the data, and so on lah. So kalau kita tengok, let's say kita tengok satu example, let's say dia ada kedai, dia produce one item, one new items, right? So kita tengok berapa orang yang beli. Let's say kita tengok, let's say 5,000 people are buying this item one. So nak tengok juga dalam bisnes kan, kalau kita tengok ada loyalty program kan, kita ada Lotus loyalty program, Tesco, even in Eon pun kita ada loyalty program, bonus link. So apa yang dia ambil daripada kita tu, dia are collecting our data, right? They are collecting our data and they sell to the company, and then they give us some points lah, to encourage us to give the data, right? So that is the business of business bonus link and so on lah. Faham tak? So when they collect the data, they know. So you are buying this item. So item you, okay, age, they collect the data. Age is, orang yang beli the data, mean age is let's say 6.5 years old. Right? And then the standard deviation is only 2.5 years old. Maksudnya we know that the from here, from the descriptive analysis ni, we know that orang yang beli item ni umur dia dalam 6 tahun ke 8 tahun. Daripada 4 tahun ke 8 tahun sahaja. Lebih 8 tahun tak beli. Kurang daripada 4 tahun tak beli. So dia kat mana dia nak letak item ni, and macam mana dia nak promote. So they can make a strategy or marketing strategy from this item. This is one of the example of the descriptive analytics. And predictive analytics is predict the future by examining historical data, detecting patterns, relationship of this data, and then extrapolating this relationship forwards in time. So we have a data, past data, let's say from the past years, kita tengok, kita collect data. So collect data from let's say kedai, selalunya dia akan collect data. Macam mana dia collect data? They should have a storage or database. Every time customer are buying, itu ini is for retail lah. I sebut retail kan. Kalau benda-benda lain pun sama jugalah, macam properties, construction. So they have a data. So how they make use of the data is up to each company lah. So they still have the data, past data. Let's say customer buying item ni, sales ni berapa, revenue berapa, right? So dia akan measure dia punya trend, whether the trend is upwards or downwards, right? So what action they should do. And future, dalam sini, this is past data. So in predictive analytics, so we akan predict on future. Future ni dia akan turun ke dia akan naik. Dia akan turun ke dia akan naik. So this is a predictive analytics. So prescriptive analytics is kind of predictive analytics juga, but it helps us to identify the best alternative to minimize and maximize some objective. For example, if you learn a transportation cost, let's say transportation cost, you are in a warehouse or shipping company kan. So you nak transport to town A, town B, town C. So this is the cost. Setiap ni ada cost lah. Ada cost, right? Let's say you are daripada station A, station B, station C. So you nak suruh station mana yang hantar untuk minimize our cost. So that is a predictive analytics. But in this analysis, you might have 2 or 3 option. 2 or 3 option. But these 3 option also minimize the cost. Right? So yang mana satu you nak pilih? Right? So it based on this prescriptive analytics lah. So for example, another example, let's say you have data, right? Let's say data, sales, and bulk salesman. So katakan dalam company you ada banyak salesman yang botak kan. So you punya sales makin tinggi ikut time, right? So kita tahu dekat sini from a correlation, sales ni akan meningkat kalau lebih banyak orang botak, kan? So maybe there is a correlation here, but there is not a causation for the sales increase lah. It's not a cause that affect the sales increase. So that's why we need to have a prescriptive analytics to evaluate the result that we receive, right? Whether it is reasonable or not reasonable, right? Boleh faham? Right? Boleh eh? So this is yes. Alright, this is another option. Tak ada dalam slide, but I put it here. So um, on spreadsheet modeling yang kita akan belajar nanti, will cover descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. And linear regression yang kita akan belajar adalah predictive modeling. Statistical inference yang kita akan belajar hypothesis are going to be, it's supposed to be here, supposed to be on predictive modeling lah. And descriptive data mining going to be a descriptive modeling, right? Okay. Now this is one example. Example one, a retail markdown decision. So most department store clear seasonal inventory by reducing the price. So dia nak clearkan inventory dia by reduce the price. So how much they're going to reduce the price? There is a formula to reduce the price lah, and maintain the key profit. The key question is when to reduce the price and by how much to maximize revenue. So bila nak reduce the price and bila nak maximize the revenue. So selalunya dalam, kalau kita pergi shopping complex kan, kita tengok reduce the price selalunya hujung bulan kan, awal bulan tu dah tak ada dah. Mungkin ada kadang-kadang adalah dekat-dekat nak raya, festive season, they reduce the price, right? So that is the pattern lah selalunya kan. So selalunya dia akan tengok bila customer akan masuk banyak dalam shopping complex, right? So the provider of the shopping complex tu dia akan tengok lah, dia akan analyze the data. So the potential key application analytics. So descriptive analytics, maybe they examine the historical data for small products, price, unit sold, advertising, right? Kalau advertising ni greater, then maybe they will increase the price ke atau maintain the price kan. And then predictive analytics, they will predict the sales based on the price and then suggest the prediction sales. So prescriptive analytics find the best set of pricing and advertising to maximize the sales revenue lah. Right. Sama ada nak increase lagi sales advertising expenditure ataupun maintain current advertising expenditure. Now let's look at the software support. So kita akan tengok software support dalam business analytics. This is basically software support for business intelligence, and this is also business intelligence. This combine business intelligence and predictive modeling, right? So IBM Cognos Analytics is an integrated business intelligence and planning solution designed to meet the needs of mid-sized company, provide reporting, analysis, dashboard, scorecard, planning, budgeting, and forecasting capability lah. So this is business IBM Cognos Analytics. They are mainly designed for business and intelligence. So we can provide reporting, some descriptive statistics, right? Analytics, and we can design a dashboard, a very good dashboard. Contoh dashboard boleh tengok adalah my website. So my website, I've created a dashboard. So you can go to my website. My website is, I paste on chat room. So you can go to my website. You tengok dekat dashboard ni ada flex dashboard. So this is my dashboard. So this is all business analytics or descriptive analytics, right? And present the data in numbers, in bar chart, pie chart, scatter diagram, box plot, and this is bar chart as well. And then I can put the data in maps, right? So this is one of the example, right? And you can put the data in table, pivot table, summary, and so on. Right. So Tableau, we're going to learn about Tableau, a simple drag and drop tool, right? So Tableau. So this is a Tableau. Sorry, mana? Tableau. So this is Tableau interface. Saya buka Tableau dulu. This is a drag and drop tools for visualization data from spreadsheet to others database lah. So remind me tomorrow. So this is one of the analysis. Just drag and drop. Dia tarik data variable, drag, drop dekat sini. Tarik data, drag and drop. So this is example of, just want to show you what is a Tableau kan. Right. Data for business analytics. Now, so we are talking about business analytics. We need to know what is data. Because we're going to deal with the data. And to deal with the data, we need to know the type of data, scale of measurement available for each variable or data. So now, data is a numerical or textual fact, right? And figures that are collected, right? That are collected through some type of measurement process lah. So there must be a measurement process, whether you are collecting through measurement ke or count, right? For example, let's say you want to measure height of people. So height are measured using some tools, measurement tools, a ruler ke, right? So they can get the height of customer. Right, and then information result of analysis data, that is extracting meaning of data to support evaluation and decision making lah. So of course, when you have a data, you need to have some information about the data. What is this data all about, right? And the variable, what does it tell us? Let's say age tu apa? Age pada umur sekarang ke, pada umur datang to collect tu bila datang to collect. So kita nak tahu bila age yang sebenarnya yang they collect. And we have that level of measurement. Now, before we go in detail this one, let me show you the type of data first. So now we have, before we go to data, we have variable. Variable is something that we interested to study, such as age, gender, lagi apa, CGPA, right? Salary. So this is all we call as variable. The value inside the variable, let's say 18, 21, 31, 38, 48. So the value here, male, female, male, male, female, female, right? So all this value inside the variable we call as data. So this is data and this is variable. Boleh faham ah? So you need to pay more attention on this because this is very important. Right. Variable is something that we are interested to study. For example, we are interested to know the respondent age, the customer age who buying the goods. Right? So age itu adalah variable. Age is a variable. So the value inside age, let's say 18 years old, 21 years old, 31 years old, 38 years old, 48 years old, this is what we call as data. Right? Male, female, male, male, female, female. This is all we call as data. Gender is a variable. Boleh faham, eh? So now, under variable, we have two type of variable. Right? Satu kita panggil qualitative variable. Another one is quantitative variable. So we have two type of variable, qualitative and quantitative variable. Right? Saya kecilkan ni sikit. Oops. Right? We have qualitative and quantitative. So what is qualitative? Qualitative is a categorical variable. Quantitative is a numerical variable. Categorical variable ni apa? Such as gender, color, right? Color, gender ni ada apa? Dia ada male, dia ada female. Ni ada apa? Red, yellow, right? Red, yellow, blue, and so on lah. So this is a categorical variable. Numerical variables such as age, right? Height, weight, and something that we can measure, right? Something we can measure, right? Or count. Something we can measure or count. For example, age, height, weight, ataupun number of children, number of cars, right? So number of car, number of children, kita tak boleh measure menggunakan instrument tool such as ruler ke, penimbang berat ke, right? We are measure it using count. So how many children? 5, 2, 3. How many cars? 11, 20, 50, so on. So we measure it by count. And age, height, weight is we measure using instrument tool lah. We can measure using instrument tool. Right. Saya bawa ke tepi sikit. Measure using instrument tool. Right. Okay. Boleh faham the categorical variable and numerical variable. Qualitative is a categorical variable. Quantitative is a numerical variable. Now, under quantitative variable, we can split the category into two types. First is a discrete variable and continuous variable. Right? Discrete is the data that cannot be in decimal point. It's take whole number. For example, number of children. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it cannot be 1.2 children. Right? It's not reasonable lah. So cannot split the children into two. Right? So dia mesti dalam bentuk 1, 2, 3. So mesti dalam bentuk whole number. Continuous the quantitative variable. Continuous quantitative variable, something that we can measure it in form of range, right? So maksudnya from 0 to infinity are possible. Any value from 0 to infinity are possible. Right? Let's say 1.2, 1.25, 1.729, all possible within this range. Dia ada decimal point lah. Boleh faham So that is a category type of qualitative and quantitative variable. We have categorical variable is a qualitative variable, numerical variable is a quantitative variable. Right? Boleh faham setakat tu? Right. Now we're going to go detail. Yes. Ya, Dota I bagilah. Ni salin lah, dalam buku tak ada. So, tengok dalam buku uh, tak ada. So, you can tengok my notes ni Right. Right. So now, I tak tulis macam dalam buku tak ada macam ni lah. So I just uh, summarize kat you. So now, let's look at in detail. So in detail, going deep down, kita akan down lagi. So dia ada level of measurement. Level of measurement. So maksudnya, we know that this is a categorical data. This is a numerical data. So what is the level of measurement? Macam mana level of measurement tu dia lies under apa? Discrete ni dia lies under measurement apa? So we have a nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. So ini ada dalam buku boleh baca. Right? So dia turun bawah dia dalam chart yang sama okey. Dalam chart yang sama I tak larikan chart dia. Dalam chart yang sama. This is not a second part This is the same chart continuous sampai bawah. So now kita tengok dekat sini. Sini ada pecahan dekat sini. This is another pecahan. Right. So under qualitative, so we have two type of measurement. First is nominal, another one is ordinal. Right? Nominal and ordinal is a qualitative variable. Yeah, we know that qualitative variable is a categorical variable. Right? Both are categorical variable. Right? What does it differentiate between nominal and ordinal? Nominal is a categorical variable that cannot be ranked or ordered. Cannot be ranked or ordered. For example, gender, male or female. We cannot say male is number one, female is number two. Right? We can also not say that female is number one and male number two. Another example is ethnicity. Ethnicity, Malay, Chinese, Indian. Right? So we cannot say Malay is number one, Chinese followed by Indian. It can be either Chinese, Indian, Malay. It can either be Indian, Chinese, Malay. Otherwise lah, mana-mana dia suka. So this is a categorical variable that cannot be in order. It cannot be in order. So it is a nominal scale. It lies under qualitative variable. Right? Hope you understand that. If you don't understand that, please revise, baca balik dalam buku. If you, I hope you understand. So this one should be very simple. Right. Next is ordinal scale. Ordinal scale still under qualitative variable is a categorical variable. So what is differentiate between nominal and ordinal? Or nominal cannot be ranked or ordered. It can be ranked or ordered. It's not can lah. The word is not can. Should be ranked. It should be ranked or ordered. Ini mesti dalam bentuk turutan. Turutan. For example, let's say committee member. So we have president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Notice that all these subcommittee ni mesti in order. First, it must be president, vice president, secretary and treasurer. You cannot say secretary, vice president, president and treasurer. It should be in order lah. Mesti ikut order. Ataupun salary group. Salary group. Let's say RM 1,000 to 2,000. 2001 until 3,000. 3001 until 4,000. So it should be in order. Right? Boleh faham? Okay? Clear? The level of measurement for nominal and ordinal. Right? Right. Ya, dia mesti dalam bentuk turutan lah. Kalau dia tak ada dalam bentuk turutan, dia akan jadi nominal scale. So why we need to know nominal and ordinal? So when we want to do analysis, right, for example, linear regression or logistic regression, we should know the type of variable. Kalau kita pakai masuk saja, we know that this is a categorical variable, just masuk guna logistic regression, then it will not produce a good result. It will be a biased result, and the result it will be wrong result. Right? So this is very important and fundamental topic. Right? You need to understand the differentiation between nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio. Now, look at interval and ratio. So we know that the second part here, interval and ratio lies under quantitative variable. It is a quantitative variable. So we know that both are numerical data. Both are taking numerical data. So what differentiate between interval and ratio? Both are in numerical data. Interval zero value is not a true zero. Zero value is not a true zero. Apa maksud dia? For ratio ni, zero is true zero. True zero value is a true zero lah. Right. For interval, zero value is not a true zero. Maksudnya, let's say kita tengok temperature. Let's say we have 100 Celsius, 75 Celsius, and 0 Celsius. Right? 100 Celsius means that boiling stage lah, kan? Boiling stage, kan? So, suhu dia sangat panas. 75 Celsius means that suhu dia kurang panas sikit, kan? Right? Suhu dia kurang panas. And we cannot subtract. We have 25 less cool on compared to 100 Celsius. Tak boleh kata macam tu. It cannot be subtracted like that. Kalau kita nak plus minus cari dia punya subtraction tu tak boleh dalam interval. Dia punya orang kata operation of tolak tambah tu tak boleh dipakai dalam interval. Right? So dekat sini 0 Celsius. Does it mean that 0 Celsius mean kita tak ada suhu dekat situ? No, right? 0 Celsius means takat beku, right? Takat beku. So it means that it's not a true zero here. Zero here means something else. It's not a true zero. So it is interval scale. Boleh, So ratio, zero is a true zero. Let's say your profit profit for March 2022 RM0. It means that you don't gain any profit here. Right? Means that tak ada profit langsung lah. Bukan melainkan you tipu lah. You tak nak bagi orang pinjam, you kata you profit zero. You tak nak bagi bonus pada staff, you kata profit, no profit. Padahal you buat profit banyak kan. So you can differentiate that, boleh. Contoh example for uh, ratio is height, weight, right, and so on lah. Kilometer travel, right, and so on. So that one is a ratio. Okay, so I hope you can differentiate between interval and ratio, right? Okay, can I move on? Right, so level of measurement ni boleh baca dalam buku lah, muka surat. Muka surat berapa? Sekejap ya. Muka surat 3 dan 4. Itu je. Like, now let's look at example of data source, right? So of course, when we talk about data, we need to know, yeah, okay. Alright, okay. Now, let's look at when we talk about data, we need to know what is the source of data. Kat mana dia nak ambil data ni? There are two type of data source, data source lah. There are either primary or secondary. Right? Primary means that you are the first person who collect the data. You are the first person who receive the data. Right? Secondary, for example, for primary, such as you are doing observation, you are collecting, you are distributing the questionnaire, you are the first person who get the data. But for the secondary data is you are not the first person. The data is already published. Already published. Right, already published in some platform lah, such as a database ke. Let's say a student punya employee report, employee record. So dia dalam database HR contoh kan. So when you take the data from HR, you are not the first person. The data is already there, right? So it's lies under secondary data lah. So example of secondary data is annual report, accounting audits, financial profit analysis, economic trend, research, market research, and so on lah. Web behavior. So in your project later on, you need to use a secondary data, right? So you need to find your data from this trusted punya platform lah, right? So get the data and you show me the data first. Sebelum kelas, next class, you need to show me the data by WhatsApp ke. You kena WhatsApp lah. You kena show me the data before next class. Next class bila bulan 5 kan. So you kena show me the data. Whether the data can be proceed or cannot be proceed. Jangan buat last minute. You buat last minute, you will get the last minute marks. Last minute marks maksudnya you tak buat dengan cara yang betul, you akan hilang banyak markah lah. So, right. So, dataset and database. There is a difference between dataset and database lah. So, dataset is a collection of data lah. Means that you have a set of data, right? You ambil satu set of data, right? Let's say dalam data ni ada ID, ada names, ada address, ada age contoh. This is a data set. Semua ni ada data dalam ni. So this is a data set. Database, maybe there are a lot of data set dalam database. Maksudnya dalam database tu dia ada simpan pelbagai information. Right? Dia ada pelbagai information. Let's say dalam satu ni dia ada banyak variable dan banyak data dalam ni. Banyak variable dan banyak data. Banyak variable dan banyak data. And data ni ada connection to this data. Ada connection to this data. Ada connection. Ada connection. Right? Ada connection. right? So selalunya data set, secondary data, kita ambil portion from the database. Kita ambil sikit daripada database. So database akan simpan banyak lagi information. Right, it's a collection of related file containing records, people, place, or things. Database usually organized in two-dimensional table. Means that we are into a structured uh, structured data where columns respond each individual element of the data called field or attribute, and row represent record or related data lah. So columns dekat sini attribute or variable lah, right? So apa yang nak kata kat this one kan, and each row represent the data, right? So this is example of data set, right? This is an example of data set in a database. Data set in a database, right? Database tempat kita nak simpan banyak data set, right? So setiap kolom ni kita panggil variable, right? Or attribute or features, right? And setiap row ni kita panggil data lah. This is a records, right? So this is an example of data set. I hope you understand, very simple, right? So okay, before we go to the big data, any questions so far? Right, good. So now let's look at big data. So when you are talking about business analytics, nowadays we cannot run away with the term of big data because the data is keep coming in, keep coming in. So the big data refers to the massive amount of business data from a wide of variety of source, much of which is available in real time. Dia available in real time lah. So kalau retail, kita ada real time data lah, mesti akan dapat data. So every time customer beli, especially in supermarket, hypermarket, even in mini market pun ada simpan. Sekarang ni semua dah ada sistem kan. Kecuali kampung-kampung pun ada. I seen it. Right? Kecuali yang betul-betul very small business kan, yang tak afford to buy a system or tak afford to track the sales, right? Even kalau dia tak track the sales guna sistem pun, I nampak dia tulis, right? Setiap jualan tu dia tulis, right? Dia tulis berapa hari dia jual apa. So that is a proper record tracking kan. So semua data akan masuk real time and the data is keep on coming, right? So much of it uncertain and unpredictable data, right? So dalam big data ni, IBM characterize this big data into 4 characteristic, which is volume, variety, velocity, and veracity lah, right? So the effective use of big data has potential to transform economies, delivering a new wave of productivity growth and consumer surplus. So using big data will become a key basis on competing for existing company and will create new competitors who are able to attract employees that have a critical skill for a big data world lah. So this is quote by McKinsey Global Institute, right? So big data, but nowadays people dah kurang cakap berkenaan big data because big data is a part of our nature already. It's not a new knowledge already. It's a common knowledge, right? Benda tu dah biasa dalam business, right? So there are 4 V's in big data. So volume, velocity, verity, and veracity. Volume means that the data is keep on coming, right? So we need to have very large storage to store the data, and the data is different type of form of data in verity, and sometimes dia ada data in term of videos, data in term of text, right, and numbers. Of course, kalau kita tengok kita pakai yang jam yang track tu, right, yang digital watch tu pun dia keep on data. Facebook, right, every people in the world ni dia akan tweet lah, dia akan post a status lah, right? So Facebook and Twitter. So siapa pakai Facebook dah tua dah, and Twitter pun tengah-tengah makin nak tua. Yang muda-muda sekarang banyak pakai Instagram kan. Itu based on my student sekarang lah. Dia cakap dia tak pakai Facebook or Twitter. Dia Instagram saja. So orang muda sekarang semua pakai Instagram. Yang dah pakai Facebook ni orang-orang tua saja. Yang Twitter ni yang tua nak yang muda nak pergi tua, right? So semua ni ada type of different data, right? Gambar, text, number. So how to differentiate the type of data ni? Macam mana nak fully utilize the type of data? So we don't know why, because of big data ni. So there is a tools in business analytics to help us to differentiate and make use of this data. Such as if you have a YouTube data, video data, how to recognize this video is for what and for what. Macam mana kita tengok teknologi sekarang, let's say image recognition, kita buka handphone saja, oh dia boleh detect our face, this is you. Kalau tunjuk dekat orang lain dia tak boleh detect. Ini it's not nasir, dia tak boleh buka handphone tu. So how they detect? They are using a machine learning classification program. So untuk identify the picture lah, the element such as pixel apa semua lah. And velocity means analysis of streaming data. So data is coming in based on streaming data. And veracity, we have uncertainty of data lah. Banyak data yang uncertainty and corrupted, right? Yang boleh diguna, yang tak boleh diguna, missing data and so on lah. So let's look at the next page ni. Ini tak ada dalam buku . So boleh tengok lagi 4 V's of big data ni: volume, terabyte, exabyte, or existing data process. Data at rest. We don't need to do anything. Velocity, data in motion. Streaming data, millisecond, 2 second to respond. Maksudnya data is coming in, laju, right? Macam Twitter, Facebook semua, dia data is streaming data lah. Variety data, many form. Variety means many form, structured, unstructured, text, multimedia and so on. Veracity, data IMDOP. So ini lagi senang kita nampak dia punya definition compared to this leaflet, right? Okay, so ini you boleh screenshot kalau you nak. Ada sikit notes dekat sini berkenaan dengan volume, velocity, variety and veracity. So this is very important. Please take note. Can you can screenshot this one? Sudah? Right. So last slide, models. Infografik ni yang ni. Yang tadi yang gambar sebelah. Gambar sebelah ni. Ini dalam slide. Okay. Right? Boleh. Ini dah, yang perkataan ni dah, yang ni, notes ni dah. Dah, right? Okay. Okay. So models in business analytics, models that we are talking in business analytics is a mathematical model lah. We are not talking about model in abstract, model in picture, right? We are talking about mathematical model. So later on we will learn about Z-test, T-test, linear regression, forecasting techniques, right? Moving average, smoothing, seasonal method, right? So semua tu mathematical model. So please aware that the model that we're going to use in the business analytics is a mathematical model lah. So it captures the most information, important features. So it can give information features that describe the data set. Right? It can be written in written or verbal description lah. So basically, we are looking into mathematical formula lah. Right? It's all. Okay. I think that's all for introduction. Next class, I will kejap I need to pause the recording.